Hello everyone! You might notice I sound a little bit different. It's Olivia here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dorota's daughter, and today I'm filling in for her. She's been really busy, so I thought I'd make something for you instead. So today, we'll be making a beautiful blue marble design with some swirls and gems. I hope you enjoy! First, you'll want to make sure that the nails you are working on are well prepped. I'm showing you a design on tips today, so my prep is just buffing, but you can find more detailed prep on this channel. Now I'm only going to show you how to buff one nails because I've already done the rest. But after everything is buffed and clean, I'm going to begin preparing all my colours for the marble. So let me just get my tray out. So, first colour we're going to use is 201, which is called Blueberry. It's a very beautiful colour. So I'm going to take a wee dollop onto my palette. Not too much, but not too little. And then we're going to take our next colour, which is a lighter shade of blue. This is number 220 or 220, 220, and it's called Wave After Wave. I'm using roughly the same amount of both colours, already lightly swirling it to help marble everything together. Next, because I want a little sparkle, I'm adding number 169, which is called Bachelorette. Just a little bit. Now that our colours are prepped, I'm taking 173, which is Tic Tac White, and I'm going to use this to paint my nail. Alternatively, you can add this colour to our palette and apply it all together, but I find this gives me more control and creates a more natural blend. This is also very handy when working on a real hand because you don't have to go so close to the cuticle with the blues risking flooding because the white will cover the spots. So once it's all painted, I'm going to be taking one of the rainbow ombre brushes. Because of the uneven end, I find that makes it a little bit easier. Alternatively, a one-stroke brush could work too. You'll want to pick up a scoop of our colours and start in a corner. This is going to indicate which direction the marble will go. If at any point you are unhappy with the effect, remember you can always go over it again like I do. So swirl it a couple times, have a wee look if you've missed any spots. You can always go back with a small brush around the cuticles if you need. Once you're happy, cure it for 60 seconds. While it cures, I'm going to do the same with the next two tips. If you're working on a client, I would also suggest this. Cure each nail after application to make sure nothing moves or floods as you work. So I paint my next tip white. Make sure it's a nice and even coat. Not too much, because you're going to add more polish, but not too little. Now, I noticed I was missing some dark blue, so I added 201 again. Remember, you can always add more, but it's hard to take away once the colours are mixed, and we don't want to create waste. I apply the polish by lightly swaying my brush while gently dragging down. If at any point you think your colours are bleeding too much, you may want to clean your brush from the previously mixed colours. And you can also dip your brush into a specific colour if you think you're lacking it. And once you're happy, you can put it into the lamp. I had a wee corner there that I wasn't quite happy with. And again, you cure it for 60 seconds. I'm going to repeat the same for the last nail. Now, you'll see I made a mistake. I forgot to paint it white first, and I'm just applying the polish on its own. And as you can see, it works, but I found that the colours just weren't applying as nicely as I wanted it to, and they were blending too much. Once I realised this, I take some blue scrub on a cotton pad and I wipe it off. And I paint it white and do the same process all over again. Now, let me know if you guys would like some more videos like this from me. A like and a comment goes a long way to let me know if you guys enjoy something and would like to see more of it. This is also the first time I'm doing anything like this, so let me know if you prefer one nail at a time all the way through, or if you prefer it like I did today, where I'm working on all three nails at once, kind of like you would on a real client. Anyway, I'm adding a little bit more colours because I didn't have quite enough. Started running out. And again, take my brush and apply it from the corner to the other end, turning my brush over every now and then once it gets like dirtied from the colours, and just swirling it back and forth. And once I'm happy, which I wasn't clearly, I added a little bit more of dark blue. Having some trouble with this last nail. Yeah, and like I said, you can take a specific colour and add it on top if you think there's not enough of it, and then here I want a little bit more of 169 for the glitter. Once I'm happy, cure for 60 seconds. And while I wait for the curing to finish, I clean my palette and brush to save time. Now here I used a dry pad for my brush, but you can also use UV cleanser to clean your brush. Don't use blue scrub, that may damage your brushes, so only UV cleanser or just a dry brush. So once everything is clean, I take out my designs or my nails, which are now cured, and I take my high shine no wipe top coat and apply it on all the nails because I want to buff them for our design. Now technically you could probably get away with just buffing the gel polish. First you'll want to wipe it because it's going to be sticky, cured but sticky, but the top coat's also really good for leveling out any bumpiness or unevenness you may have from applying the marble design, because I know sometimes you'll accidentally put too much product on without even realizing it sometimes, and you'll cure it and say it cures all the way through, but you now have a bumpy surface. Now this can be fixed with some top coat to level it out, and then for their next step we're going to be buffing it, so that's going to help even out the surface as well. Now after I apply the top coat on each nail, I'm putting it into the lamp for 60 seconds. Though, to be fair, mine have been in there for a little bit more than 60 seconds because I just put them all in while I'm working on the others. And once they're all cured with some editing magic, I'm going to gently buff all of mine. Now mine were all nice and even, so I'm not worried about evening anything out. If you have any bumpiness, just buff a little bit extra in those specific places. We want to make sure we remove all shine because we don't want our chrome pigment to stick to anything other than the design we're going to be putting on top of the marble. Just going to keep on buffing. I never know what to do in these between parts, while I'm just kind of doing the same thing over and over again and just buffing. I find there's not much to say. And sorry, I'm a little bit out of view. Like I said, this is my first time doing anything like this. It's weird trying to do nails with a camera right in front of your face. And there's been a couple moments where I had issues with the focus. My mum's usually quite lucky. She has my dad, or she refers to him as cameraman, to keep watch and see if everything's going well. Today I was on my own, so I had to keep on top of everything myself. Anyway, once the buffing is all done, you'll want to give them a wee brush. Yep, there we go, a wee brush, just get rid of any dust. And you can also use a wipe with some blue scrub on it if you like. Now, for the next step, we're going to take black foil design gel and apply some onto my palette. Now, I use a spatula and I took a little bit too much, as you will see in just a second. Now, you can also use a high shine top coat to draw your design, but a high shine top coat doesn't show up as well once you apply the chrome pigments. Plus I want you guys to see what I'm doing. Now I'm going to take the detailer brush, which is a nice fine point, and this is going to allow us to have really nice thin clean lines. So I run my brush through the black gel to soak up the colour and gently wipe off the excess on my palette. So we have a nicely saturated brush, but it's not going to make a mess. So for this first nail, I want a swirl to go down the middle. I start at the top where the cuticle would be and slowly work my way down. If you notice your brush isn't gliding as smoothly as you'd like it to, take a little bit extra gel paint and continue where you left off. The key to getting clean lines when you've stopped halfway through is to start just a tiny bit higher than where you've ended. So you go on top of a line you've already gone on, and this makes for a nicer transition. The swirls almost end up making like a DNA strand shape, so that's a nice way to visualize what you're going to be doing. Okay, and then once I'm happy with our main swirl, I'm going to take some more black gel and I'm going to do some swirls on the sides. This is going to help us frame the main swirl, and it's also going to and it's also going to like fill out our empty space, make it more interesting, like something else is happening. So I do my 2 swirls on the sides, and again I want it to be more interesting, so I add a second swirl for each of those that crosses through itself. Now, the swirls don't have to be perfect, you can make them any way you'd like. Next, I'm going to take some more black paint and I'm going to make a plus sign, and this is going to be our star. So I'm doing a line straight down first, and then I'm doing 2 small lines on the sides. You can also do this in just 2 strokes, one down the way and one like horizontally. Then I very gently go over the very inner corners of my star just to give it a nice shape, so it's not literally just a plus sign, it has a little bit of dimension. And I'm gonna do the same on this other side, just so the star is not completely alone. Remember, you don't want to have too much paint on your brush, but you also don't want too little. You can also see how grown out my nails are starting to be. I think I've had them for 2 weeks, maybe almost 3 weeks. You can actually watch this set on this channel if you'd like. It's a set my mum did on me. Once you're happy with your design, put it into the lamp, and I'm going to be curing it for 2 minutes. While that cures, I begin working on the next nail. For this nail, I'm going to be using a dotting tool. So this is the dotting tool I'm going to use. So I'm going to take my dotting tool into the black gel, and I'm going to put a dot in the middle of the nail. So in the center, this is going to be our centerpiece, our main accent of this nail. And then I go back to using the detailer brush to extend 4 lines on each side. So 1 line from the center going down, from the center going right, and then from the center going up, and from the center going left. Because we have that dot in the middle, this helps us already create the dimension, the like slight roundness to the inner corners, and for it to be thicker at the base and then slowly thin out as we go to the edges, again giving us a nice star shape. And this will also create a nice base for when we put our gems on top. Yeah, and then I round off the corners just a little bit more, just until I'm happy with the shape. You can experiment with whatever you like. You can do different star shapes. You can do just lots of different. There's so many different ways to make this sort of design. It's really nice and simple. Doesn't take too long to do, and it's not too hard. So that's nice. Next, I'm going to be doing like an X shape. It's almost like I've got a plus sign and then an X on top of it. So in our inner corners, I'm dragging out tiny little lines to make it appear like the star is almost actually shining. this is nice to do because the star is a lot bigger than the other ones we did. So I want to show that it's a bit bigger, it's almost like it's closer to you, it's brighter, you can see more detail. Now we're going to do some more of the swirls. So again, I take my detailer brush and run it through my gel. I'm going from the corner down to the side, making kind of like an S shape for a swirl. Now I made a little mistake, so what I did was I took a wipe with some blue scrub on it and I gently wiped it away. I was careful not to mess up my line because I was happy with my line, I just made a little mistake outside of it. Now I continue doing it. Now you can see I had a little mess up. Again, no big deal. I go over it and I fill in any gaps I left. And then we're going to do the next swirl, going from kind of the middle left towards the bottom right corner. Again, it's kind of like a S shape, vaguely. Not so much this one maybe, but the other ones are. It almost makes like a figure 8 as well. Think of like an infinity sign, a DNA strand, that sort of thing. And there we go. I'm just going to show you guys a little bit of a close-up with the focus on, and I'm going to cure it for 2 minutes as well. And then I'm going to take the next nail and do some more swirls. This one's kind of going to be like a combination of the first two. So first I'm going to create a swirl on the top to the bottom right. So like top left to the bottom right. Kind of going through the middle. Clean up any lines that I'm not quite happy with. Making sure it's nice and saturated. And then going from the corner again, making it a DNA strand type shape. Or like a cord. Something like that. And again, I had a little bit of a mistake, but I decided to incorporate it into the design by giving the lines some variation. They don't all have to be exactly uniform. Sometimes it's nice for the swirls to have a little bit of variation, some line weight. Creates more depth, dimension, you know, all those fancy words. Gonna keep doing it. Yeah, I'm really happy with this design actually. I was brainstorming for a while before I recorded, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I wanted to try and do something pretty original, which isn't my strong suit. I'm more of a person that likes to take a photo from Pinterest and do it, like recreate it. But anyway, take a dotting tool and make 2 little dots. These are going to be my stars again, and we're going to do that plus sign star. Again, dragging from the middle. Now this is a different this is a different technique than the first nail we did when we did the stars. I quite like using this technique over the first one, where you do a little dot and then drag out from the centers. This makes making the inner corners more rounded a little bit easier, and sometimes you don't even have to go back in to fix them up. While if you're just doing the lines, it can just kind of look like a plus sign rather than a star. But do whichever method you find easier, comfier, time efficient, anything. These tutorials are here for you to, I guess, take inspiration from. We show you different techniques, But there's millions and millions of different techniques that will all achieve the same thing, so it's about finding what suits you best. Yeah. And then I decided this one looked a little bit empty, so I added some like dots as little really far away stars. Looking back, I think I could have probably added that to the first nail we started doing. So if you were to recreate this, I'd maybe do that. Or if you like the plainer look, leave out the dots completely from any of them. Anyway, once that's cured for 2 minutes as well, with editing magic of course, here's all of them completely cured and ready for our next step. So I'm going to be taking a silver chrome pigment, and let me just open it and show you. It's so pretty. Now I've got long nails, so this was a little bit tricky. I couldn't quite get my hand in there. Yep, but there you go. Now I took a little bit too much, but you're going to want to use the pad of your finger to get some of the powder, and then you're going to gently rub it into the nail. Like so. Now I did take too much, you really only need a little bit, it goes a long way. Alternatively, if you can't use your hands, like say you've got gloves or you don't want to get your hands messy, although this stuff, you can just use a wipe and it'll come off, it's not a bother at all. But say you have gloves, then you can use an old eyeshadow makeup brush. We have them included with some of the different powders we sell, I think. So you can just use that, and it works great as well. Just it's not quite as reusable. You can reuse it, but you have to make sure you don't mix with other powders, or you're gonna get like old powder into the new one. So there you go. So I'm just going to repeat it. Take a little bit of the powder and gently rub it in. If you have some excess on the nail, take the brush like you saw me do a couple times there and just brush it off. You don't have to be too gentle, but don't be too harsh because you can scratch off the chrome. I wasn't too gentle and mine was fine, but it's something to take into consideration that if you do go a little overboard, it can come off. After we're happy with our application, I'm taking some base gel because we're going to stick on some crystals. So I take a dotting tool. This is different than the first one I used, but really you only needed this one to begin with. I don't know why I used two different ones. So I take my dotting tool, which also has a wax picker on the end, which is handy because we're going to be using crystals here. So I just take some base gel directly from the brush, and this pretty much lasts me for all the nails really, and I apply it to the centers of my stars. Now this is why I wanted the centers not to be too small. I liked having the dot there because this made me know roughly how big it had to be for the crystals. Now I believe this is a 6 grid box with the color moon parsh. Now I'm going to take the smallest size for the small stars because I don't want it to be too much. So I use my wax picker. It's a little bit deformed now. It was also quite warm in the room, so the wax the wax gem picker was quite soft and was really holding the gems. You'll see in a minute me struggling to put it on. Anyway, I put them on. I'm really happy with how it looks. Well, clearly not. Some more adjusting there. Once you're happy with how it looks, pop it into the lamp. Now for the next star, this one's a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna go for one size up. So I'm gonna use the middle one there, which is number 5. And again, pick out with the gem picker and apply it to the center. Now I struggled here a little bit. The wax gem picker was a little bit too good and was holding it on too well. But there we go. A tiny bit of struggle, I did it. You can use your hands to help you, or you can take the gem off and try again if that happens. I found it a little bit awkward to do with the camera in front of me. Anyway, we cure it, and we put some more, and repeat the same thing as we did for the first nail, again using the smallest size, because it's small stars. Now, when you're working on a client, you may want to do one nail at a time, or maybe like 2 nails at a time. Depends how long you take and how much gel you used. Because what can happen is sometimes if you use too much gel, or your client's hands is tilted to the side too much, for example, the gems can slowly start like sliding and moving. So you'll want to cure that even for like 2 seconds, or 5 seconds maybe, just to flash cure it in place. That can be a big help so your gems don't move about. Anyway, once everything's cured, I take my High Shine No Wipe top coat yet again and I'm going to paint the nail. So you want to start from the top and go down to the bottom. Make sure to go all around the gems as well to make sure they hold on really nicely. Yes, we have the base gel there, but we also want to add some reinforcement from the sides. Make sure not to go over the actual gems, because you can lose some shine then, and the gems hold on just fine on their own. Now, you saw me paint upwards there for a moment. That's my bad. Of course, you wouldn't do that on a client. It's just a bad habit of mine when I practice on nails, like fake nails myself. I don't always stick to the rules of a real client's hands, but you can just as easily paint down the way. There was no reason for me to go up the way. That's just a bad habit of mine that I didn't quite catch while I was recording. I was trying my best to avoid it as well. I was purposefully making sure I don't even move the nails too much to like the sides, like I don't twist them too much, so it's as realistic as I can to a client, so I can show you that it's possible on a client too. So you can't like be like, this seems really tricky, I don't think I can quite twist the client's hand this specific way to achieve the same look. So I tried my best to not twist too much. Now, if you've seen any of the other videos my mom has made, you will have seen that you actually can twist the client's hand quite a bit, and you can also twist your own body a little bit and your hand to get all these different angles. It's not always ideal, it's not always perfect, but it works. Anyway, after everything is cured for 60 seconds, this is the final result. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I'm really happy with how they turned out, and I just hope you guys enjoyed this, and do let me know if you'd like to see more of this. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I'm sending you lots of glittery hugs, and bye for now!